When the flames subside, who ensures that the stories endure? At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Protesting anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of, it's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was so good like this where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. When you and God in time are best aligned.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ. You can find me on Spill. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Substack. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on all the platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai by just putting in Dr. Nii-Q. Now, listen. Mark Morial, the CEO of the National Urban League, took to social media today to remind folks in Washington, D.C., that this Saturday, May 3rd, folks are coming together strong and united to protect Black museums, Black institutions, and Black history. They're calling it Hands Off Our History. And they will kick off at 11 a.m. Eastern on the steps of the John A. Wilson Building located at 1350 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. For more information, you can go to the National Urban League's IG, and you can click on the link to register in their bio. You can also go to the African American Policy Forum, AA Policy Forum, at AA Policy Forum for details. Now, I saw that, and just to balance it out, I also saw that our friend, Dr. Jocelyn Imani, over at the National Land Trust, had put up this reminder on social media that there are hundreds of Black museums across the country that don't have that quasi-federal status and are very vulnerable right now. And so she's encouraging folks to check out their local Black museums because their staff needs your support now more than ever. Also, there's a professional association called the Association of African American Museums that's working on behalf of the whole. And they need you too. And so if you go to www.blackmuseums.org for more information, you can figure out how you can help, right? And so a lot of folks out there concerned about the shenanigans that are afoot with the National Museum of African American History and Culture. We need to take that same energy and channel it to museums in a community near us. I know in Los Angeles, not far from KBLA, is the California African American Museum. I will be on the phone calling them after the show to figure out what we can do to support them as well. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for at least a few headlines. One, y'all see this? The Target CEO, Brian Cornell's pay declines 45% to $9.9 million. Okay, so here's the story. Target CEO Brian Cornell, he earned $9.9 million in 2024, down 87% from when his compensation peaked at $77.5 million in 2020. His 2024 pay was down 45% from the year before and was his lowest since 2016. A declining pay is an indication of financial struggles for the Minneapolis-based retailer Target, which has endured a lot in recent years as performance-based equity awards provided a declining share of overall compensation. So this is a different play. And shout out to Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant, who posted about this. It caught my attention. When they want to say, oh, boycotts don't work. Yes, they do. Because the fact that we're not going to Target like we used to, if at all, means that certain executives aren't going to be able to hit their performance metrics to get their bonus pay, their incentive pay. So not only is Target losing money, but the executives are losing money. Yeah. When we come forward, we're shifting gears and we're doing a look back and a look forward with MSNBC co-host of their new show, The Weeknight, Michael Steele. He is with us when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and it wouldn't have happened. Then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community. And as a people, we've apologized for so much. But when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't wanna see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now. No more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
What? All the budget has to be used now? And we can use all the media buy?
Javier's marketing firm just got its dream funding.
Okay, ideas. Bobbleheads? No. T-shirt cannon? I seriously need some help here.
He needs to find marketing managers who are worth every dollar.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Sponsoring a job on Indeed gives it a visibility boost so you can hire faster. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests. As we effort to build a more perfect union.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and delighted to welcome the Michael Steele to the show. He is co-host of the upcoming new MSNBC primetime show and the 7 p.m. hour called The Weeknight. He will co-host that along with Simone Sanders Townsend and Alicia Menendez. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hey man, it's good to be with you, and I love the name of your show, More Perfect Union. That's the goal, baby. That's the goal.
That's the goal. That's the goal. It may seem out of reach at the moment, but we keep striving for it. And Michael, that's what you have attempted to do your entire career. For folks that are a little less familiar, you're the former chairman of the Republican National Committee. You served as lieutenant governor for the great state of Maryland before becoming a mainstay on MSNBC. My, how much the Republican Party has changed since you were leading the RNC.
You know, it's like the longest weekend at Bernie's you could ever go to. You know, so it starts out okay, and then all of a sudden, there are bodies everywhere, and people are not themselves. Look, it's a very different journey, and it has been in many respects a challenging one as someone who has been active in the party since I was 17 and growing up in D.C. And I'm telling you, bro, that was not easy, you know, specifically choosing to be a part of the Republican Party in the mid-'70s was not the smartest move you could make, given the culture and political and economic issues that confronted the country, very much like now. And but the dynamic was different. Then you're talking about people who, as elected officials in the party, whether senator, congressman, governor, et cetera, would stand up and try to help and did course correct the party when it, moved a little bit to the dark side, as we saw in the 68 race with Southern Strategy, or even as late at that time as 1980 with Reagan launching his campaign in the heart of Mississippi. The clarion call to the dark side has always been a theme inside the party in its long history. But the leadership of the party have always been the ones who have steered the ship of state in the right direction. That is no longer the case. And it becomes harder once you have hijacked the ship to course correct and move in the direction of the country, as opposed to what we're seeing taking the country into a very, very dark place.
Michael, there are a number of our leaders, learners, and listeners that perhaps have never really, heard from a thoughtful sort of Black Republican that's been around for a minute. Can you share with us sort of, what attracted you to the party? And was it just you, or was it your entire family? Are you part of generations of folks in your family that have belonged to the Republican Party? How'd that happen?
Dude, I'm the unicorn of unicorns. My mom and dad were Roosevelt Democrats, and my family was largely Democrats. I had an aunt, God bless her, who was a Republican in the 1960s and 70s, and I always wondered why everyone treated her so differently.
Imagine that.
But the truth of it is, my mother would, encourage me as a young man, don't be a Democrat because I'm a Democrat. She taught me never to follow people blindly or to do things without thought. And so she encouraged me to go, hey, if you're about to cast your first vote, and this was in 1976, go out there and figure it out. Which party speaks to you? And I did. And I learned the history of both parties. Both parties' histories was tortured and difficult at various times. But the fact that this was the home of African Americans, of my people, if you will, made a lot of sense to me. When you look at the first Black leaders of this country, they were Republicans. The Black men who had influence in the White House were Republicans. I give you, an example of Frederick Douglass or Booker T. Washington. So you had this this group of leaders within the party who looked like me, and it just made sense, and it felt right because the one thing the party stood on above all things, not culture, not taxes, not geopolitical relationships, but was on the fundamental rights of everyone under our Constitution. And that's what this party would fight for. That's what the party would always stand for. All the other stuff is add-on, my friend. It's all add-on. We added onto our platform a pro-life plank in 1980, not 1856. Okay, and so the reality of it is what the party did in 1854 and 1856 as it was forming was focus on the freedom of Black men and women. And that just resonated with me. And what is torturous and difficult is that along the way, it had turned away from the very thing that helped form it. Why it broke away from the Whig Party to form the Republican Party in the first place. So that's why I've always called myself a Lincoln Republican because of that. I've never hung up, and this has caused me a problem inside the party. I'm not so, locked in and loyal to screaming a point or a talking point or owning the list, whatever that crazy is. If it causes you to lose sight of who we should be and who we are.
So, Michael, my brother, my friend, I've got to skip to when you were RNC chair. People may not know this, but you broke fundraising records. Republicans won 63 House seats. When you were chair, it aligned with when Obama was serving in his first term in the White House. It aligns with the start of the birther movement, where folks were accusing Obama of not being an American citizen, right? And I think you can draw a direct line between what was happening in the RNC under your leadership and what is happening right now. Do you feel like the party has left you behind, or in some ways do you feel complicit in some, not all, but some of the party's antics under your leadership?
Well, I appreciate that question very much because the record will show that not one time did I question Barack Obama's citizenship or his birthright in this country. In fact, spent a lot of time inside the party letting people know that was not who we were. As I would say to them, I was like, y'all really don't want me to get a cup of coffee tomorrow at my Starbucks if I walk in and start talking about the damn Barack Obama birth certificate. They will throw that hot coffee in my face. I said, this is the reality that, on the one hand, we want to sit up here and talk about we want Black folks to be in the party, but then on the other, you're going to disrespect the first Black man who's president of the United States, regardless of the party. I mean, set the example, and so everything that I argued at that time was on policy. It was healthcare, which was the biggest piece. It was also on some, environmental questions that we debated on, but I never personalized that, and that's important. The Tea Party that began to form in pockets around the country in the mid to late spring of my first year. So I got into the party. It was elected in January, a week after Obama was sworn in. And then by April, I had the first meeting with this group of people who called themselves Tea Party. And what was bothersome to me was they were taking out Republicans. They were taking out Republicans like Mike Bennett in New Jersey and others that could win, that were the only ones who could win in certain races. So I had to, A, figure out who they were, B, find some reproach with them, and understand fundamentally what they were and what they were about. That iteration of the Tea Party and what you're talking to really was the birthright citizenship really took off. really didn't manifest itself until the 2012 presidential cycle. That's when you had the emergence of Donald Trump and others who latched on to that. By that point, I'd been fired. So, so my point is, there was a struggle within the party that I had to deal with those who wanted not just, to have a more aggressive stance. For example, Mitch McConnell saying at the dinner on inauguration night, we want to make him a one-term president, and having to navigate that space. But then also at the same time trying to rebuild a party that had been broken as a result of devastating losses in 2006 and 2008. And so it was always this fine walk, but I was very clear about who I was as a Black man first, before I was Republican, before I was Catholic, Black, and never have lost sight of that. And so it always informed my chairmanship, my time as lieutenant governor, and it has caused problems because, I get a lot of Republicans, you don't sound like a Republican. I'm like, I don't know how Republican sounds if you're talking about, the rights of human beings, if you're talking about free markets and, creating entrepreneurial opportunities. I don't, that sounds like, if you're saying that sounding like a Republican is the idiotic question, where's your birth certificate? Then no, don't color me a Republican because that's not who I am. And so we navigated that very well, built up different storylines that moved us away from that emerging narrative. But once I was gone, Reince Priebus and others just let it flow. And they used it to raise money. They used it to stoke the base in primaries and general elections. And it really set in stone the efforts that would emerge under MAGA.
And speaking of MAGA, well, let me first say I remember having Jeffrey Toobin, legal analyst from another network, on the show promoting his book, Pardon. And Jeffrey had made the point that pardons offer sort of an X-ray into the soul of our presidents. I would zoom out and argue that a president's use of executive power probably offers a more comprehensive X-ray of their soul. And to that point, in an exclusive interview with ABC News to mark his 100th day in office, President Trump said he, quotes, could secure the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man his administration said in court was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. Michael, this was one of the buzziest parts of that sit-down interview with Terry Moran, where Trump insisted wrongly, repeatedly, vehemently that Kilmar Abrego Garcia literally had MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. The image was, in fact, an edited one. What do you make of this exchange on his 100th day in office?
Man has a dark soul. I don't know how many times and in different ways we can say that. I don't understand what people think they're getting. If I tell you I'm going to hit you, and I hit you, why are you surprised when I hit you? If I tell you that I'm going to, make your life more difficult, if I'm going to take your family and your kids away from you, and when I do that, why are you surprised? So, I've been saying for a long time now, Americans need to get their heads out of the clouds. I'm being generous here, and understand that your grievances, your frustrations are important, but they're not more important than the country. And if you allow someone to come in who can use jackbooted thugs to grab people off the street, threaten and go after institutions of higher learning, universities and colleges, blackmailing them, blackmailing law firms or penalizing or criminalizing their behavior because they did their jobs as lawyers under the rule of law, and you were the one doing the criming, not them. Then we lose sight of what's of the most value, and that is the pillars that we've set up in this country, and that are there for a reason. And look, I'll tell you, Doc, I have said for some time this generation of Americans is the most selfish in history. We're more concerned about the price of eggs than we are the price of freedom. And I don't diminish that. It's important. But what are you going to do now when you can't even get eggs? What are you going to do now when there are toys on the shelf? What are you going to do now when the products that you use cost you 4, 5, 7 times as much? Because one man has decided that he wants to wreck everything and then make it so hard. And as they told us, cruelty is the point.
Well, when we come forward in our remaining minutes with Michael Steele, Michael, I want to get your hot take on former Vice President Kamala Harris, who delivered a high-profile speech that sharply criticized President Trump just yesterday at an event promoting the group Emerge. Plus, we want to learn what we can expect on your new primetime show on MSNBC the weeknight, premiering May 5th at 7 p.m. You are listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Michael Steele when we come forward.
If you're looking to be engaged, enlightened, and empowered about issues related to national politics, elections, identity, culture change, and social justice, you tuned into the right place. A More Perfect Union continues when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The U.S. maternal mortality rate is rising again, now at 19 deaths per 100,000 births. Black women are still dying at higher rates than white women, with bleeding, infections, and blockages as top causes. North Carolina's House just passed a bill banning DEI programs in public schools and state agencies. Leaders could face $10,000 fines or be fired for violations. The bill now heads to the Senate. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson met with top state leaders to ask for more funding. He called his request modest as the city faces a projected $1 billion budget shortfall next year. And May Day rallies are happening nationwide as protesters push back against Trump-era policies. Demonstrators are calling out mass layoffs, immigration raids, and DEI cuts under the current president. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In Linwood, on the 710 southbound transition to the West 105, watch for a crash. It's partially blocking lanes of this connector road. South 710, slow going from the 10 down to Atlantic Boulevard. North 605, approaching Slauson Avenue. An accident involving a pickup truck and an SUV is not blocking lanes. Everything on the right shoulder. North 605, solid delays from Rosecrans up to the 60. Mid-City, 10 westbound just past Crenshaw Boulevard, a 2-vehicle crash in the center divider.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's another night of elimination drama for LA's NBA fans. Tonight, it's the Clippers' turn to see if they can stay alive in the playoffs. Game 6 between the Clippers and Denver at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers are down 3-2. They need a win to force a Game 7 in Denver on Saturday. The Clippers are healthy. No players are on their injury list. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight on TNT. The Lakers' season-ending loss to Minnesota Wednesday night had a huge financial impact on a lot of people. More money have been wagered on the Lakers than any other team to win the NBA championship, according to multiple sports books in Vegas. One person bet $100,000 at 10-1 odds that the Lakers would win the title. Mark this date on your calendar. June 29th. That's the deadline for LeBron to decide if he's going to exercise his player option to come back for a 23rd season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
When the flames subside, who ensures that the stories endure? At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community, educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. He is Michael Steele, the co-host of The Weeknight on MSNBC, premiering on May 5th at 7 p.m. alongside Simone Sanders Townsend and Alicia Menendez. The anticipation is growing for that show. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, Michael, what's your reaction to former Vice President Kamala Harris, who delivered a high-profile speech that sharply criticized President Trump amid speculation about whether she'll mount another presidential campaign or opt to run for California governor?
Look, I so welcome the vice president's voice back in the room. I think it's important. I think what she did, outside of the historic aspects, you know, the woman running for president, all of that, is set in front of the country very clear, stark versions of America. And one in which, you know, we acknowledge our problems and we try to work together to solve them, and the other in which we concede our problems and bet on one man to fix everything for us. Throughout history, that latter example has never worked. So it's important, I think, to hear her voice. You know, speculation about whether she runs for governor or whether she runs for president again, that's horse race stuff. I don't care about that right now. My thing when I look at someone like her is, how are you resetting the conversation? How are you coming out, if you choose to come out, to kind of rebrand yourself, because now you're no longer the number two. You are your own standalone individual identity. And three, what do you have to say to us? I think a lot of people really want to hear a voice. I love the strong words. I love the clarity. And so she's going to engage on this is good. This is good. We'll see where it goes. I supported the vice president for election as I supported Joe Biden for re-election and election the first time, because as this show is built on the idea, a more perfect union requires we the people. And it requires us to recognize that the partisan lines are the least important thing when democracy and our individual rights and freedoms are threatened. And so, I'm curious as to how she proceeds. Everyone sort of, looks for the first big speech, and then it's like, okay, she's done that, and they move on. What she says next, to me, begins the more important part of the conversation for her.
In our remaining minutes, Michael, give us some flavor as to what we can expect from you, Simone, Alicia, starting May 5th on MSNBC in primetime at 7 p.m. What can we expect with the weeknight that we didn't get with the weekend?
Well, you're going to get some pop. As I tell people, Michael Steele in the dark is a lot better than first thing in the morning. I've already warned my producer. I'm like, dude, 7 p.m., baby. And such in the fall when it gets dark at 4, it's like midnight. Come on now.
Michael Steele after dark.
Michael Steele after dark. I'm telling you, it's a thing, and folks will feel it. They will feel it. Look, it's energy. It's a fresh take on what's happening that day. As we make the transition from sort of the weekend at the end of the news cycle. Now we're in the news cycle, and that's going to be so exciting, especially with Simone and Alicia at the table, sort of bringing engaging conversation, different points of view, live guests, which is a huge part of what makes it work. And it's just making it pop night after night. Each night will be different from the other, and I think it's something where people, as I like to say, have yourself an adult beverage, sit back, kick your shoes off, and for an hour, let's have this thing together where we help you inform you, we make you laugh, we share your concerns, and we offer some insights on a way forward by bringing in the people who can make a difference in what we see happening around us now. So it's going to be, I think, a very engaging, as I like to say, a conversation with us. And, we have folks Monday through Friday, tune in. On Mondays, you feel a little extra love because we're on for 2 hours on Monday night. So, you may need 2 adult beverages for that one. So that's the same. Are you prepared?
Well, we will be prepared. And again, you can look for Michael Steele, Simone Sanders Townsend, Alicia Menendez on the weeknight on MSNBC starting May 5th at 7 p.m. Thank you, Michael Steele. I look forward to having you back here and maybe seeing you on the weeknight.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. In both instances, I think it'd be a good idea.
All right, you take good care. You have been listening to and streaming. So there you have it. That's Michael Steele, the new co-host of the weeknight on MSNBC at 7 p.m. In prime time. He'll be on air with Simone Sanders Townsend and Alicia Menendez. In fact, we'll be talking to Simone next week. Yeah, we'll be talking to Simone next week. And so stay tuned for that. And, shout out to everybody in a More Perfect group chat on the YouTube that are listening to us live. We see you and hear you. Selena Ricks asking, is Michael Steele the kind of Republican we want to deal with? I think that is a very legitimate question because there are a lot of Republicans out there that seem to be operating in alternate universe to match those alternative facts. And so thanks for the reminder, Selena Ricks. Morris Phillips raising the question, he could be another Byron Donald, right? Let me tell you, I've interviewed Byron Donald a few times, and Michael still doesn't come close. Byron Donald is distinctly different. Byron Donald is going to be running for governor of Florida. So if you got family, as I do, and friends and cousins in Florida, right? I hope you are eating your Wheaties because it's going to be quite the gubernatorial race in Florida with Byron Donald on the ballot. But keep your comments coming. We love hearing from you. And also just a reminder that if you've downloaded the KBLA app, you can always go and utilize the open mic feature on the app, and you can record a voice memo. If you have a hot take on something that's trending in the headlines, and you want us to hear it, use the open mic feature. We want to hear from you. We check it on a regular basis, and we just might amplify your voice right here on air. So don't be shy. When we come forward, we are going to take a live feed of President Trump. He is at the University of Alabama tonight. And you may be wondering, well, why are we taking a live feed of President Trump at University of Alabama? I think it's important for us to listen to what he's saying. And on the other side of that, I want to share with you what I likely think he's not saying from the point of view of students and faculty and administrators at the University of Alabama. Within the past half an hour or so, we certainly have been looking at updates from the president's visit to the University of Alabama to deliver the commencement. It really looked like it was set up as more of a campaign event than what you might expect for your typical commencement exercise, even one involving a sitting president. And so we're going to share a little bit of what the president is saying live right now at the University of Alabama. And then on the other side of it, what we're going to do is what we do best: amplify the voices of leaders on the front line. In this case, leaders on the campus of the University of Alabama, talking about student leaders, faculty leaders, administrators, so that you have a comprehensive view of what is really afoot there. As we head into commencement season at large, you are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least likely to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. With so many shows on our station weekdays and weekends, it's hard for me to keep track of all the guests who are actually in studio on any given day. I wish I'd known in advance that LADA Nathan Hochman was coming in studio for a recent interview. Had I known, I would have loved to have personally greeted him and then asked him why LA City Council member Curran Price is being criminally prosecuted for allegations of misconduct similar to the conflict of interest violations for which former City Council member Kevin De Leon is only being fined. What's that about, Mr. DA? In fairness to Mr. Hochman, it was former DA George Gascon who actually filed felony charges against Councilman Price. I opined then on how these criminal charges against Price did not pass the smell test. I was concerned then that this was yet another wayward prosecution of a high-profile black elected, not to mention a waste of taxpayer money. I am even more convinced now that this is a hot mess. To be clear, neither you or I want a bunch of self-serving, greedy, conflict of interest criminals managing the people's business inside LA City Hall. But we also don't want selective or targeted prosecution of black politicians. We've seen that movie before, and we don't need a sequel. It's hard to watch Kevin De Leon get away with paying an $18,000 fine for repeated ethics violations, what he calls an oversight, and at the same time, watch the DA's office continue its criminal prosecution of Curran Price for issues allegedly involving his wife's clients. Motions, I might add, that were passed unanimously by the LA City Councilman. What are you saying, Tavis? I'm glad you asked. DA Hochman did not start this inquisition, but he certainly has the power to stop it. I have said it before, and I will say it again. Fundamental fairness. In the absence of fundamental fairness, we experience a cascade of deteriorating conditions. The erosion of trust, the weakening of social cohesion, alienation, marginalization, the legitimacy of authority diminishes, cynicism and disengagement grow, and ultimately, people abandon civic participation altogether. Fundamental fairness, Mr. Hochman, that's all we ask. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Right now in Alabama, President Trump is speaking at the commencement at University of Alabama. He is delivering the commencement address at the university. Take a listen to what he's saying. We're going to go live to what he is saying right now, and we will share what I suspect he won't be saying on the other side of this. Take a listen.
When he wanted to run for the Senate, I said, well, you beat Alabama 6 times in a row. How can you run for the Senate? He said, well, I just look at him and I say, well, I was responsible for them getting Nick Saban. I said, that's a good reason. And he won very easily. He won, but I'll never forget that. Thanks also to a wonderful person, Representative Lisa McLean, a great person, great, highly respected. Gary Palmer, Robert Adderholt, Dale Strong, Ronnie Jackson, Ralph Norman, along with Lieutenant Governor Will Ainsworth, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall. Great people. Alabama Senate President Pro Tem Garland Gudger, Chancellor Sid Trant, and members of the University of Alabama Board of Trustees. But most importantly, and they would agree with this, let's give a big round of applause to your incredible parents, grandparents, and family members.
You're listening to President Trump deliver his commencement address at the University of Alabama, and he's really just acknowledging a whole lot of electeds and dignitaries that are there. But you just heard him acknowledge the parents of the graduates. What we haven't heard is the president acknowledge the faculty members that are not pleased with the policies coming out of his administration that are making campus life unbearable. Ahead of the Trump visit, the University of Alabama faculty blast the anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion actions and threats of dismissal. Alabama.com, AL.com, is reporting that the University of Alabama faculty has denounced the state and federal crackdowns on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in a resolution voted on and approved April 22nd. Faculty said that anti-DEI actions have had a chilling effect on their ability to teach and research. They said unwarranted threats of dismissal have made faculty afraid, and they've made students unable to express their freedoms. According to the resolution, faculty recently have been reported. They've been investigated. They've been warned of potential disciplinary action. The resolution said that the closure of the local Black Student Union and the LGBTQ Center Safe Zone affect not just historically marginalized students, but everyone at the university. Recently, the University of Alabama at Birmingham also has canceled scholarships for Black students and returned donations intended for those scholarships. They returned the donations. This is how much conviction the university feels over these policies, or at least how much pressure they feel to enact these policies, that they are willing to return donations intended for scholarships for Black students. I suspect that the president will not be raising that in his commencement address, but I digress. The Senate said that they recognize the need to follow applicable laws, but that enforcement has impinged upon both academic freedom and the institutional autonomy required for its protection. What does that mean? It means the resolution was supported by 63%, or 45 members of the Senate, and 27%, or 19 faculty members, they voted no, and 10% abstained. 63% of folks that make up the Senate at the University of Alabama supported this. The resolution requests that the University of Alabama administration to declare their ongoing support for academic freedom. I guess it's in the eye of the beholder. See, got a lot of people running around talking about academic freedom, but like, well, wait a minute. You need to ask them, what's your operational definition of academic freedom? Because their application of freedom may not include us. We may not feel so free with their application of academic freedom. The university employs a little over 2,000 faculty members. That's as of 2024. But again, this resolution, it comes amid, there's a lot of buzz and a lot of protests surrounding President Trump's commencement address today. Alabama Republicans said that the visit was, well, they've been looking forward to the visit. Of course, they're going to look forward to the visit. But other people aren't so excited about this. And so I'm sure we're going to be hearing more about this commencement address as it is now commencement season. And here on A More Perfect Union, we're going to be on commencement watch because there is so much afoot on campuses across the country that this commencement season is not going to be your regular commencement season. You know, are commencement speakers going to say the quiet part out loud or not? How will administrators respond? How will students respond? How are students feeling graduating into an economy that is on the brink of a recession? There's so much to talk about. And so you can expect us to be on commencement watch this entire season. And so hopefully this gives you just a little bit of a flavor of the commencement speeches we intend to cover and summarize and be in conversation with you and others about. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village helps us produce A More Perfect Union, including our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Andy, our show producers, Faraji, Kim, and Art, and of course, each and every one of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. Remember, don't panic, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we will see you next week right here on KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to A More Perfect Union.
Is calling his $115 billion 2026 budget the best ever. It boosts safety,